Today marks the end of the investigation into the shooting at Safeway in late August. I think the thing that most people are going to take away from today is the opportunity to view that video. Why release that video into the public sphere?
So we have an obligation as a public agency to comply with public records laws and public records requests, which we received many dozens of public records requests from media outlets during the time the investigation was open, from immediately afterwards all the way up till several weeks into it. We denied all those public record requests successfully. We had legal exemptions that allowed us to deny those because it was an open active investigation. With us closing the active investigation now, with no additional leads to work on and no additional investigative need to have those public records requests exempted, we're in a legal obligation to where we have to release something to satisfy those public records requests. And that what we're hoping is that this will satisfy those requests to provide a clear picture and to fully satisfy the public interest that was stated in those media requests.
I may misunderstand this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. The video in general is all coming from private sources. Safeway's surveillance video, Ring doorbell cameras, other surveillance video, not from the body cameras, which would be part of the public property. Do those public record request exemptions extend to privately sourced video once it becomes part of the investigation?
Public records exemptions extends to all available evidence or reports during the investigative process. So once the investigative process is complete and that we no longer have a legal exemption, then we have to determine, okay, what can we release to satisfy this interest that we're being requested from the media.
Even though it's not your video to begin with?
Correct, because it's evidence in the case.
Okay. What did you do the last couple of weeks? You must have known that this day was coming, where you would release this report, you would release this video. What have you, your department, I should say, not you personally, done the last few weeks to prepare the employees, the people that you see in that video who fortunately were able to leave that store with their lives? What did you do to help them prepare for this day?
Yeah, first we just had a lot of internal discussions, and we're just as anxious about releasing it as our community is about having it released. If it was up to us completely and we had legal exemptions, I would never release this. I don't think it's good for the community. I don't think it's good for our community healing. It re-traumatizes potentially people who were there or present, or even the rest of the community who wasn't there but has felt this impact. However, because of the legal requirements, we've had those discussions about how do we prepare our community for it the best we can. We've had reach out to the Safeway employees, communications with other agencies as well, letting them know we'll be releasing this material. We had communications with Deschutes County Behavioral Health and setting up potential areas for people if they need to talk to someone that they can do that, whether it be the Crisis Stabilization Center or a different venue. We've had our folks reach out and communicate with the District Attorney's Victim Assistance Program, who has the vast majority of contact with a lot of people who were there or impacted by the event. We've also specifically and personally reached out and met with the victims' families and offered the video to be seen by them first before it goes out anywhere else. And we did that internally as well. We've had significant numbers of debriefings internally for our members who were there or present. We've offered our people to see the video. Not everyone wants to. And I would highly encourage people not to watch the video. Again, we're required to release this material, but we're not required to tell people to watch it. I would tell people not to watch it.
Why would you tell people not to watch it?
I just think it's horrific. It's violent. There's already plenty of unnecessary violence in the world. This doesn't really need to be out there and need to be viewed. I would encourage our media outlets to not post pieces of it for community health and community wellness. I just don't think it's something that we need to encourage and have people see more violence that just is unnecessary.
Did the families ask you to try to keep from releasing this?
I don't know the exact conversations with the families. I know that there was some discussions around not wanting it released, but again, we have an obligation to release it legally, and we know how that process works. We're in the public records business a lot, so we did the best we can to try to minimize the impact by a lot of redaction, what we believe was legal redactions in the process, to really protect as much as we could, but still fully give the story of public interest and answer some of the questions that the community has had and the public has had and the media has had over the last 3 months about what happened there. And I think we did that successfully with what we released without trying to release too much.
You as the chief of the police, the head of this organization to keep the public safety here in Bend, have a whole nother obligation of questions to ask afterwards. And now you've had a couple of months to digest. Having seen the video, having spent months examining this one single incident, how did your department do?
I thought they did great. I couldn't be more proud of our department. The members in our department are well trained, we're well equipped, they care about the community. They were willing to, as you could see, there was a very quick response to not only on scene, but to go into a location where they knew someone was armed and shooting with a high-powered rifle, which is one of the most dangerous situations, unknowing where that person would be exactly in the store. It's one of the most dangerous situations they're going to go into. And our first responders who got there, they made that decision to care about the community more than their own personal safety at that point. And they went in to protect our community, and very proud of them.
Has there ever been any acknowledgement for the 4 officers that we see going in there, at least internally? Maybe you haven't ever made this public, but has there ever been any internal acknowledgement of the action they took?
Yeah, we all know who, obviously we all know who was on scene and what actions people took, and part of that process, and we have ways internally to acknowledge that work and appreciate that work.